Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Grice, and this afternoon I'll be giving you a brief lecture on the sociological imagination and how you're able to apply this to your life in some ways. So starting off, I asked the question, what is the sociological imagination? What defines the sociological imagination as our recognition of interdependent relationships between who we are as individuals and the social forces that shape our lives. And this is a concept that was developed by an American sociologist by the name of C. Wright Mills. And Mills, he described the SI as the ability to view interaction between history and biography. And what he meant by history and biography was, when looking at history, it's not just the times that we live in, but also it's the positions in society that we hold, and also the resources we have access to. And with biography, this represents our thoughts, our experiences, our actions, and the choices we make. So, continuing with this, Mills says that one way to develop our SI is to be able to distinguish between personal troubles and public issues. When we look at personal troubles and public issues, they're both pretty self-explanatory. Personal troubles, what we deal with ourselves and with other individuals, and public issues, are things that are a larger social structure. So the question I pose here is, what are the social forces that create public issues and personal problems? Personal troubles, excuse me. So those social forces are institutions, and institutions are collections of statuses, roles, norms, values, and social organizations that are organized to meet some societal need. So right here, I have a little diagram. It's called the Wheel of Institutions, and this diagram has a collection of all the most common institutions that are known to society. And as you can see, the chart shows like a circular motion and how they all affect each other to some extent. So today I kind of want to look at the military, and kind of show you how the military is able to kind of create some of the public issues and personal troubles people experience. So let's take a look at it. And applying that definition of institutions to the military serves as an institution that has a collection of social roles, norms, and social organizations. Those organizations being the different branches of the military. It all comes together. It's all organized together to where it meets the societal need by ensuring the protection of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So when you see that, you're kind of wondering, well, if the United States is protecting me and the country, how can I view them in a negative manner? So how I'm going to show you is I'm going to use a conflict that the military was recently involved in, and kind of break it down for you and see how it's able to shape public issues and personal troubles. So I want to take a look at the Iraq War. This is a conflict that we all grew up, witnessing to some extent, some more than others. The clip I'm about to show you is just a brief clip of President Bush and his cabinet members kind of creating this image of a societal need by stating that Saddam Hussein is a threat and we really need to eliminate him from our society. So I'll play about a minute of it, and you'll kind of get the picture after a minute.
In order to protect America from current threats and future threats, we got to be cold-eyed realists. And that's why I brought up the issue of Saddam Hussein. See, I view him as a serious threat to America.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein's regime is a danger to the United States and to its allies, to our interests.
We agree that the Iraqi dictator must not be permitted to threaten America and the world with horrible poisons and diseases and gases and atomic weapons. This man poses a much graver threat than anybody could have possibly imagined.
One thing is abundantly clear. Our nation is still in danger.
I think most people around the world realize that Saddam Hussein is a threat. The conduct of the Iraqi regime is a threat to the authority of the United Nations and a threat to peace. And we will not allow any terrorist or tyrant to threaten civilization with weapons of mass murder. States.
Okay, so you kind of get the picture of what he's saying right there. Saddam Hussein is, a threat to, the peace of the world and whatnot. So as a result, as we all know, in 2003 we invaded the country of Iraq, and we managed to remove Saddam and his regime from power, and we established, what many people call a questionable democracy in that country. But, you know, even though we met the goal of achieving this societal need, you know, at what cost was this achieved? And who are the winners and losers to this conflict? So when applying this conflict to other institutions, you know, we look at healthcare. You know, thousands of service members sustain, you know, physical injuries, mental injuries, and, you know, even thousands died doing this. And with this, you know, the injuries that, you know, have emerged due to this conflict are, you know, PTSD, loss of limbs, and TBIs, known as traumatic brain injuries. And, you know, with these injuries, you know, veterans require health care, and they require many forms of support in order to continue to thrive in our society. But with this, you know, they face a lot of problems getting this necessary health care. And, you know, one public issue that just emerged recently is the Veterans Health Administration scandal. You know, it was uncovered that VA facilities were neglecting veterans when it came to, you know, giving them the necessary care that they need in order to thrive in our society. You know, an investigation uncovered that, you know, several veterans died in these hospitals and didn't receive the care that they need. And the investigation also uncovered that over 120,000 veterans never received any care from these facilities. So, I mean, due to this conflict and other conflicts that the military has been involved in, you know, these individuals, you know, are affected in other institutions. You know, another big institution that has been affected is the family. You know, the United States suffered, you know, almost 4,500 casualties due to this war. You know, depending on how you look at it, that's a son, that's a daughter, that's a brother, that's a sister, that's a mom, that's a father. That's been taken away from, you know, a lot of these families of our nation. You know, so when looking at that and the other burdens of war right here, you can kind of see that, you know, it has a great impact on these families. You know, growing up as a military child myself, you know, I've, you know, have a couple friends that, you know, lost their parents, you know, in these conflicts. And, you know, you see a lot of their parents come back and, you know, they come back not the same individuals that they left. And, you know, it takes a great toll on these families. You know, it's also important to look at the other side as well. You know, we invaded, you know, the country of Iraq, you know, and, you know, one of the goals was to, you know, help the Iraqi people. But as you can see, you know, they suffered 500,000 casualties, and that's just the estimation. And, you know, over 1.5 million people have been displaced. And, you know, it's really unfortunate to see that, you know, we set out with the goal of helping these people, and, you know, a large number of them are displaced and don't have the necessities that you need to thrive in life. You know, and finally, the last institution I kind of want to look at is politics. You know, politics, you know, have played a huge role in this conflict, you know, from the start to the very end. You know, we've set out with the intent of removing Saddam Hussein from power and getting rid of his chemical arsenal. But, you know, it's important to know that, you know, there was no WMDs ever discovered. And after we removed his regime, there was no solid strategy in establishing democracy. You know, we ended up disbanding the ruling government and the military, and as a result, we left thousands of individuals jobless. And, you know, with them being jobless, they're unable to provide for their families and themselves. And then you have unanticipated social problems, such as radical Islamists that, you know, come in the country and spread their ideology. And, you know, you have an unstable government that favors one religious group over the others, and you have scandals such as Abu Ghraib that, you know, only add fuel to the fire. So, kind of when you look at this institution and the Iraq war conflict, the next slide I'll show you is just kind of like how this contributes to, you know, what we see in Iraq today, and that's ISIS. You know, you're probably thinking, well, you know, they're over there, I'm over here. How do they pose much of a threat to me? Well, let me show you. You know, ISIS is a social organization with ties to several institutions such as the military, religion, and politics. You know, with their ties, they're able to have effect on other institutions such as media and technology. You know, ways we're able to see this is through the recruitment of foreign fighters. You know, just recently, 3 girls in Denver were apprehended in Germany trying to go over to Syria and join the group. And then in the UK, these 3 girls right here, they actually succeeded in getting into Syria, and nobody knows where they are now. ISIS also, you know, through media and other things, they're able to influence, you know, terrorists such as the Charlie Hebdo terrorists. And, you know, they're able to conduct you know, horrible attacks such as those. And, you know, ISIS has also, you know, killed several international hostages such as the Americans, Caleb Miller, and other hostages. And recently they just spread the war-torn Libya. You know, and that's, you know, what many consider the back door to Europe right there. So it's, you know, many consider public issue #1 throughout the world. So just to kind of wrap everything up, by having the SI, this gives you the ability to, view the events of society in a more depth perspective. You're able to see the social forces that are at play. You're able to witness how they affect different institutions as well, and create public issues and personal troubles. It's also important to note that the SI is, very beneficial for some individuals, and it can also be a terrible thing for others, as you, see with a lot of these institutions. That's all I have.
Nice job. Thank you.